Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Spiritually Speaking. Today, I have the beautiful Gail Lynn with me. I'm very excited about this conversation with her because I literally manifested this amazing woman in a very, very short time frame, like 12 hours or less. So, thank you for joining me, Gail. I'm so excited and happy that you said yes to my invitation.
Oh my gosh, you're welcome. I love it. I mean, I had a lady call me the other day and she said, I emailed Bruce Lipton, I emailed Greg Braden, I emailed Joe Dispenza. Nobody wrote me back. And, I called her back and she said, oh my God, I can't believe you called me back. I said, we're all in this to help each other. We're in this for community. We're in this to make each other stronger as a collective. And she poured her heart out to me. How could I not call her? And we talked for an hour. We had a lovely conversation. I learned from her. It was so beautiful. So I love to say yes to life. And, I can't say yes to everything, but I got your message and I read about you. I said, of course, let's do this. And I have enjoyed your podcasts. I've been
Thank you.
listening to them.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. It was so amazing because I've been having some issues in my own physical body, and I just recently, actually yesterday, s- decided to go see a provider again and had my first appointment with her because I want to get my hormones balanced out because I feel like that's a big issue in my body right now. And I know a lot of people believe in energetics around the body, and I do too. And that's one of the things I wanted someone to talk intelligently on. However, I do also believe that we get these amazing, beautiful tools that we can use to make ourselves better and encourage ourselves and get, as Greg Braden so beautifully said on one of his episodes about prayer, using those tools to get ourselves into that feeling, right? So I feel like that's just a piece of the puzzle and that's the thing we're going to talk about. And I told you previously, right before we hit record, that I've been really emotional lately because I've had a lot of stuff going on energetically and things falling away and learning so much about myself, which has been a little painful, I'm going to be honest, but extremely incredible and amazing all at the same time. So I am so excited about where this conversation is going to take us today. I truly am. And I've got my Kleenex
I,
ready.
I got long sleeves on. That's what my dad used to say. That's what sleeves are for, wiping tears and, food off.
That's awesome.
Oh gosh, so I am 54 and I went through the same thing with the hormones. I thought, okay, something's out of balance and it just needed a little tweak.
Yeah.
And it just, that's, people get so mired up and so much, oh, I got to take 30 different things. That's not the answer. And the answer is to find that little tweak that you need. And I don't know if you've heard of the Dutch test. It's kind of a urine challenge. So you pee on these little pads, like in the morning and then like right after you wake up and after breakfast, before lunch, at dinner, and before you go to bed. And then if you wake up during the night, it's an extra bonus pee, because that kind of tells you where your hormones are for the whole day. And I
Wow.
think that's better than just a one-time blood test at 10 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, because it kind of gives that list. So I found out that my hormones are actually really good. And it was like a little tweak in the DHEA, and that was it. That was like 2 years ago. And I've been doing the test once a year, and everything's in balance. Well, recently I was having some headaches, and I thought headaches can be low B2, they can be low estrogen, but they can also be wintertime pollution in the Rocky Mountains.
Mm.
And so I called the quality company and I always do all my research. I love to do my due diligence and research, and ordered a little bit of homeopathic estrogen just in case that's what it is. I took some B complex for a couple of days, but it didn't seem to be the thing that I needed. And I do things one at a time. Like, okay, that didn't seem to work. Now let me try this. But I did talk to an air quality company who said, oh my gosh, in the dry climate that we're in, the humidity is not here to bind those molecules, the water molecules, to the pollution and pull it out. And
Mm.
I woke up that morning and I had a massive headache. I felt really dizzy, really lightheaded. And I thought, oh my gosh, there's something wrong. And they're doing oil fracking north,
Hmm.
south, east, west of my home. And in the last 2.5 years of the fracking, we've had 10 neighbors pass away. And that morning that I was sick, we had another neighbor air flighted or airlifted out, and he passed away. So there's something going on. The toads are gone, the lizards are gone, the turtles are gone, and of course they say, "Oh no, it's totally safe." But when you really look at the details, that's not safe. So I think it's for all of us to find what is going on in our world, from our environment to our diets to our bodies changing, listening to our bodies and tuning into that and finding out, okay, where do I need to make that little tweak that's going to change everything?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, that almost sounds like an Aaron Brockovich situation. You know what I mean? Like just somebody needs to just really be vigilant in going, no, it's not okay. People are dying, and that's crazy.
Yeah,
Wow.
no, I fought for it's 2.5 years, going on 3 years now. I've called the county, they don't care. I've called the city, they don't care. I've called the state, they don't care. It's about the money. And I'm thinking you could have done it slower. They didn't have to drill 60 wells all at once underneath our homes. I mean, our homes were shaking at night. The neighbors were like, I can't sleep because my house is shaking at 3:30 in the morning and 5 o'clock in the morning, and I wasn't sleeping. And we just saw the wildlife affected by it.
Yeah.
And then all the neighbors with cancer. It was definitely an Aaron Brockovich situation. There's a company called Earthworks. I had them bring out their infrared camera to show that the leaks were happening. And, this is a whole podcast in itself. They have these little meters on the ground, and they say, oh, like we're using these meters that are in the weeds. And you see these plumes of smoke coming off, 100 foot above. And they said, our meters are showing clean energy. And I'm thinking, you guys are really thinking that the meter in the weeds is picking up the pollution 100 feet above, that they're delusional. And then they try to sell us this, oh, we're doing clean air, we're going to charge more money for our oil because it's clean, because we got this meter on the weeds on the ground. Really? So yeah, it's been really tough. And I got other things to do, but I can't not fight that. And the neighbors are just like, there's nothing we can do. And I'm thinking that's where we're wrong. We have to join together as a community and fight against these big businesses because they're killing us.
Yeah. Well, somebody's going to see this. That's why this was brought up. Somebody will see this that is going to be able to help. I just know it. I just know it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So let's get back
So about
to
your hormone.
the
Yeah.
tweaks in our bodies, and I know you talk so beautifully. That's what caught my attention when you were having your guest spot on Alex Ferrari's Next Level Soul podcast, because I had just said to myself, "Oh, I would love to find somebody who can talk intelligently about the energetics of different areas of our body and in the pains and the discomforts and issues that we have there." And then I saw you, and so I'm super excited to see what you have to say about this, and then we can talk about your amazing product that you created as well.
Oh yeah, we could talk about the product, but I always tell people I don't like to be an infomercial. I just want people to find ways that they can tune into their body naturally. And I'm going to be speaking at the Conscious Life Expo, and I want to talk about the future of hospitals and what is the future hospital look like?
Yeah.
And I think there's an apothecary and there's an herbalist. Instead of running to the pharmacist to get Valium, which is really valerian root at some of the core, then people are running to the apothecary and getting an herb, and they're getting cat's claw for a virus, or they're getting lemon balm for their nervous system. And so this is what I want to visualize, and this is what I want to manifest for people. And then you walk into the hospital and it's filled with love, and you feel that love, and people are there to serve you, and they're healthy. They're not burned out, they're not tired, they're not making mistakes, which what is the third leading cause of death now is medical errors, because
Mm.
they're tired. They're working 12 hours. They don't even drink water during the day because they don't have time, and they're not allowed to take a break. And so we're making a lot of mistakes. And so you go into this hospital, and the beautiful energy that you experience, and you can go and get an infrared sauna, or you can get a Reiki session, or you can get a harmonic egg session. I'll throw that in there, right? Because
Yes.
that's my product. So I just really want people to tune into their energy. Everything is energy. From you have an injury in your right shoulder, and you look at what is the right side of the body, the masculine side. When I was having some issues with some of my vendors, which were all men in manufacturing, I had right shoulder, right hip, right foot, right neck. I'm like, really? I know what this is about, but how do you fix it? How do you actually fix it? And so it's about just tuning into that energy and realizing that you need to let go and you need to create a space, what you want to manifest, feel what that feels like, and then just let it go and let the universe take care of it. And so I want people to tune into their energy and you have a little bit of right side pain. Well, are you holding on to anger? That's where the liver is. That's where you hold on to anger. Do you have some back pain? It could be an L4, L5 vertebrae, which could be about abandonment issues. And a lot of times people have lower back pain that could be financial stress or abandonment. And it's so cute how I have some clients, oh, I have lower back pain. Do you feel abandoned? And then they just start crying. The
Yeah.
waterworks start because it hits them and they're like, oh my gosh, like I was adopted. You'll always find something out. Or they were abandoned by a partner. And so you have, some really, if people know where their kidneys are, a little bit above the lower back, that could be where you're holding fear. My dad passed away from a lung cancer. It was a medical misdiagnosis of mesothelioma, but he held on to a lot of grief. He basically he used to say, we were so poor we couldn't pay attention. He lived in a neighborhood in the Detroit area that he got kicked out of. He was so poor, he got kicked out of the poor neighborhood. And I mean, it sounds like a joke, like kids walk uphill, both ways to school. My dad didn't make it past seventh grade. I mean, they literally got kicked out of the poor people housing. But he held on to a lot of grief over that. And he wanted so badly to create a life for his wife and his three kids that was better than what he had. And he did, but he sacrificed his life by working in an asbestos plant because he only had a seventh grade education. So for 30 years, he worked on an assembly line in an asbestos plant where nobody cared. They were all about just making money and they didn't care who they were killing in the process of them breathing in this asbestos for 30 years. And so he passed away from mesothelioma in 2017. And then 11 weeks later, my mom passed away. And I don't know if your parents passed away together, but it sounds like maybe they both passed away recently. Well,
14 hours apart from
same
each other, a little over 3 years ago. Yeah.
OMG.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's a trauma in itself. My parents were 11 weeks apart. But what you said in one of your podcasts, you had a better relationship with them when they passed.
Yeah.
And it was true for me too. I was like, my dad finally said, "Oh, that's what you do. Okay, I get it now."
Yeah.
And my mom was so proud, and you didn't really know that when she was alive. She was very critical and very judgmental, and why you got a pimple on your face, and why are you doing that? Why are you wearing that? But after she passed away, there was just this beautiful space where she was on the other side and just so grateful and loving and proud. And I always see her the way I see her, she's still sitting on this porch with this beautiful green grass and flowers everywhere, and just sitting and waiting for all three of her kids to pass away. And then she'll meet all of us.
Yeah. That's so cool. Beautiful. I had a meditation that I did, and I saw my mom and dad together. And my mom wasn't a real super happy person in this life. And she had really deep frown lines on her face and stuff like that. She just wasn't a real super happy person. And in my meditation, I saw her and she was just laughing and laughing. She had her head thrown back. And have never seen in this life my mom laugh like she was laughing in that meditation. And it was so beautiful to me. It was such an impactful moment for me to be able to see her just experience such joy. It was beautiful. Yeah.
Well, and that's interesting. We were talking before we hit record is do we really know who we are. And I think your mom or my mom, they didn't know who they were because of so much trauma. I
Yeah.
believe my mom was molested by her father because she would tell stories, and I was like, that doesn't sound right. You know, your dad walks in on you and you're having a bath and you're 16 years old. Nah, that doesn't sound right. And so she was so reserved and so angry and so shameful and fearful. And she just had all this stuff going on. And I have this new book that I bought. It's called I Am Me. And it kind of narrows your birthday down to astrology and says, you know, your color path is red. So mine's red and it's a one. And it's rebellious, it's passionate, it's, you know, it's kind of, you know, an inventor. It's so accurate. And about 10 people that I showed this book to, they said that's super accurate. But one person said, no, that's not me at all. And the last time that I knew this person, she was 19 and then been in an abusive, kind of emotionally abusive relationship for 25, 30 years. And I thought, it is who she is, but she doesn't know who she is anymore
Yeah.
because she's been so, um, you know, beat down and in this relationship. So it's very sad, but sometimes we have to get back to who we are and know who we are. And I was telling you too, I've never said this in a podcast before. My nickname used to be Giggly Gail. And then I was been so serious for like 40 years. And I started giggling at everything again. My horse and my cats, they sit up on the horse's back and they just are so goofy. And as you talked about your puppy kind of looking at you for acceptance, like, can I do this? My horse and my cat, no, they all have minds of their own. They don't ask me anything. They kind of tell me what's going to go on. But I giggle and laugh at them so much. The little boy cat, he likes to chase after this little feather, and he'll take this flying leap, and one arm's always flying way out, like he's I'm gonna get it. It seems like he's flying for real, like he has wings. It's like 2 feet. He's flying through the air, and I just giggle and laugh at them. It's so cute. So I think we need to get back to that more childlike giggling and being in love and being kind to each other and really knowing who we are.
Yes, I agree with you so much. And there's a couple things I'd like to say. I completely relate to the person you were talking about because when I got divorced and I was married for 20 years and it was a very controlled situation, like he was very controlling. And so I actually had a friend who would go shopping with me after I separated from him. And she would tell me, she's like, I hate shopping with you, Dee. Like you take forever. You have no idea what you want. No idea. And it's true because I had no idea because I was so used to having to dress this certain way and be this certain person that I had no idea what kind of clothes I even wanted to wear. It was nuts. It was really, really nuts. So I had to learn to get to know myself and what do I like? What do I like? Not what am I okay with someone else telling me that I can wear, but what do I like and be able to pick those things out. So that's a really interesting really, really
Wow. And
interesting.
say that it's funny because every time I ask this person something, oh, I don't know. Where do you want to eat? I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know. And I just get frustrated because I can make decisions. I've been in a couple abusive relationships, been divorced twice. But I knew that I wasn't happy, and I thought I was raised Catholic. I think what you were raised Pentecostal, is that what you
Yes,
said?
yes.
Yeah, yeah. I was raised Catholic, and so I remember my mom saying, "Well, if you would just drink with your husband, you can save your marriage." Wait,
Oh,
that's what
wow.
you did, Mom. That's what you did. I'm not going to do that. But when you're, the sacrament of marriage is supposed to be, once you say I do, it's forever.
Right.
But do you want to be, or do you want to keep the sacrament of marriage? I chose happiness. And of course, I got shunned from a lot of my, religious Catholic friends. I don't think it's so much anymore because I think 50% of marriages end in, divorce now. So I don't think it's as shunned as it was when I was in my, 20s. But yeah, it's so interesting how I can make decisions. My boyfriend's so funny. What do you want for dinner? Chinese, or I want Mexican, or I mean, I can make a decision on a dime.
Right.
Um, so, but I've kind of gotten over the sociopathic, narcissistic relationships and found me and Now I'm building my own business. I'm building my future for myself and not doing it for, for in my case was for a guy. I built businesses for several men and I was always behind them, pushing them forward.
Yes.
And finally, I had some friends say, "You need to build your own." I'm like, "No, I'm afraid. I need a business partner. I need someone to just help." And so when I started helping myself, everything's been flowing. I used to hit brick walls all the time. Everything flows now. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's so amazing. And I love that you're back to being giggly Gail. That's one of the other things I wanted to say. I love that so much. And I have found myself laughing more recently too. And the word in my world right now, especially over the last few days, has been celebration. And I really feel like that fits in with the laughter thing. And I talked to my one of my friends yesterday about something, and I told her, because I just had this amazing new opportunity be presented to me yesterday, as a matter of fact. And I'm super excited about it. I'm so excited. I'm going to be putting out more information on it. Keeping it a little bit on the DL right now until I get it more situated. But I'm so excited, and I called my friend and I told her, because I was so exhausted yesterday. I didn't even think about calling her. And then I was listening to a podcast as I went and picked up something from town, and I heard the word celebration. I'm like, oh my God, I got to call Kelly right now. And I called my friend up and I told her about my opportunity. And I'm like, we got to celebrate this weekend. We got to get together, because her heart husband and my heart husband both are working out of town right now. So I said, when the guys get home this weekend, we're going to get together and we're going to have like steak and baked potatoes, and we're going to just celebrate these things that are just happening so amazingly right now. So I think that's just, we forget, don't we, to celebrate these things, to celebrate life. We get caught up in all of the things, like what's going on in your area, in the atmosphere right now with all the pollution and things like that. We get caught up in that and we forget that we have these amazing moments that are so worthy of our gratitude and celebration. And we need to do that. We get to do that.
Thank you for that reminder because I'm so guilty of that. I mean, the last thing I remember is I was on Gaia TV in 2019. It aired 2020. My book came out in 2020, and I've been going ever since. And I didn't really ever stop to like, oh my gosh, I've been on Gaia TV. Oh my gosh, like I put out a book. Now I have a film out. I've been on Alex Ferrari's Next Level Soul. I'm going to be in a documentary with John DeMartini and Brian Tracy. I get asked to do all this stuff. Ayanla Van Sant agreed to interview me. So my next thing is I need to meet Robert Kennedy Jr. because the egg needs to be part of MAHA. Make America healthy again. If we're
Yes.
going to do that, we need things like the egg. We need infrared saunas. We need, red light therapy. We need color therapy. We need sound therapy. We need music therapy. We need the egg. And then recently there was a News Nation interview that came out, and they found or they finally revealed that there was a UFO that they had discovered, and you're seeing it picked up by a helicopter with night vision. It is a huge white egg.
Oh,
And so I
wow.
told my assistant, I was like, make a joke, split the screen, show the picture of that egg, show the picture of a harmonic egg, and say, someone lost their harmonic egg. It's been found, you know? So
That is so
I'm like,
awesome. Oh, I'm going to be looking for that. I will totally share that on my
yeah,
YouTube
she's supposed to
channel. That would be
yeah,
amazing.
she's supposed to post it. So yeah, I mean, we just it's so crazy what's going on in the world. And so some of people are like, oh yeah, right, Gail, like you're gonna meet Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and you're gonna be part of MAHA. Well, damn right I am.
That's right. I was going to
Why
say,
not?
why not? Like,
Why
who makes
not?
the rules?
Right. Right. So yeah, one hand take away. It's gonna happen, right? Because I'm gonna manifest it. Now everybody that watches this is gonna put it in their mind, so they're gonna help me manifest it.
Yes, that's right. That's right. I love it. That's amazing. And I'm just here to say that I would totally love to be part of a hospital as what you described, because I actually used to be a nurse and I worked in a hospital setting. So I'm familiar with exact, and that's one of the reasons I had to get out of it is because of the energy in there and the things that were just did not resonate with me. It was really literally physically making me ill. I couldn't, and I remember because I'm very in tune with my patients. I was like, I actually had one of my coworkers ask me one time, what are you doing that makes you the favorite nurse? Why are you their favorite? What are you doing? You know, and it's just because I listened to them, I paid attention to them, I you know experienced their energy and made my decision. Sometimes it wasn't a clinical decision that I made with my patients, it was an energetic decision, because that happened multiple times. But a lot of that stuff I couldn't. So a hospital like what you described would be so amazing. Amazing. I mean, it would just be so incredible. Just and I know that there are more and more hospitals starting to introduce the energetic concepts like healing touch and things like that. They're starting to introduce that. I know there's still a lot of skepticism and stuff around it, but I do believe it's opening up more and more. So having someone like JFK Jr., did I say that correctly?
RFK
With
Jr. Yeah, close. Yep.
Yeah, with the initiative that has been started, expand on it and grow it, and invite in more people who are practitioners of these kinds of works. I mean,
Yeah.
that is so beyond exciting to me. I don't even have words to describe it, because we don't
So
need
many
all of these pharmaceuticals and chemicals that our bodies don't know what to do with it. That's why we have all these effects from taking it, and I do everything as natural as possible in our home. We do everything like I make if we have pain in our joints or whatever, I make essential oil pain blends. And, if we get bug bites, I have a recipe that I make for essential oil immunity blend that we put on it and takes the stuff away like so quickly and no scarring or anything. I can't tell you how many spider bites I've had. And I use essential oils. I've never been to a hospital, never taken the first antibiotic, and I never have a scar from any of it. It just goes away, and it's incredible. So we don't need it. We just need to be educated on what to use instead, that our bodies will recognize and know what to do with.
Well, they say it's alternative medicine, but they have altered the native medicine. So the alternative is the big pharma and everything. And so yeah, for me, it's like castor oil, my go-to. Like bug bite, castor oil. My horse has a bump, castor oil. Castor oil packs on my liver. You get a little cold sore, castor oil. It's like castor oil, castor oil.
That
But it comes from nature. Everything comes from nature. Lemon balm, cat's claw, licorice root. I mean, I can go on forever. Mint tea, and I grow comfrey, and I grow mint, and I grow catnip, because catnip's actually good for us as well. And the cats don't seem to like it, but I put it in my smoothies, and it's just like a calming thing. So you're right. And I know so many medical professionals who are switching up right now, and a lot of them have had breast cancer. And you think about, they don't nurture themselves, and they're nurturing everybody else, the really good ones like yourself, that was tuning into their patient's energy and really trying to help them at a deeper emotional level, because that's where they need. They're in fear, they don't know what's going on, and then people are just poking and prodding at them, and they're just a number and a dollar amount, and you were different. And so you probably burned yourself out because there's not enough of you to go around, when they're like, okay, you got 2 seconds with each one, give them a shot, get out of there, go to the next one. And so I think if people start tuning into what they can use from nature, like our primitive, we say that they're primitive cultures, and the civilized cultures are, more advanced, but really we need to go back to those primitive cultures where they used music as medicine, and they used different tinctures and essential oils or whatever they made up, compound pharmacy kind of stuff is so beautiful. But a lot of medical professionals are leaving, and they still want to serve. So they're opening up healing centers. My DO in town, he's doing house calls again. So he's actually showing up to people's houses, which I think is a really nice touch. Such a
Uh,
beautiful thing.
it definitely is. That is beautiful. And I feel like when you're talking about the primitive cultures, one of the other things that I don't know if you've heard of the blue zones. I was just actually talking about this with someone else the other day. You've heard of the blue zones. So, one of the things that I feel also is missing from the Western culture is that sense of community, is that sense of just simply caring about your fellow humans, and I feel like that's something they have in those more, you know, I don't even like to use the word primitive, but just the different cultures. I feel like that's something they have that we could cultivate, and it
Yeah.
will do us so much good because caring about your fellow humans is an absolutely amazing thing to me.
And we don't. We're in the US, I think we're so disrespectful of elders. The first thing that I was taught when I was a kid is respect your elders. And I'd get slapped around if I didn't respect my elders, and it wasn't child abuse. It was, hey, you're going to respect or you're going to get slapped, right? And that's okay. Um, and so, and then look at now, like the Okinawans, is that where they have a lot of the, is it centurions?
Yes, the
That might be a thought.
centurions. That's what the blue zones
Yeah,
have a
100 years old. Yeah,
greater,
right.
yeah.
They go for walks together. They are in community together. Just like you said, they cook together. They spend time together. And here we're too busy on our computers. We're too busy working, 120-hour work week. Working 7 days a week, not taking any time to be in community. And you're right. We need to get back to being in community. I'm trying to figure out. I just had my basement built out, and of course, I have a harmonic egg down there because why wouldn't I? And I'm thinking, just invite some girlfriends over, invite some, people over that are like-minded to be in community, to maybe do some yoga or just some gentle stretching, listening to some music, and sharing ideas about what we want to manifest for ourselves, for our futures. And I just think it would be a beautiful expression. But, everybody's like, oh, I'm too busy and I don't have time. It's like, no, you don't have time to not do that and be in
Yes,
community.
right. Yeah, we could make it a priority so easily if we chose to do that. And I feel like the awareness, even though there's still so many people not doing it, I feel like the awareness is growing around it. And I believe that those activities are going to grow. We just have to keep putting the opportunities out there. And if no one shows up, then they don't show up. But if when they do, then it's a beautiful thing. And then they're going to be like, oh, why didn't I do this 6 months ago? And let me come next time and I'll invite another friend, because it's so important. I really feel like it's so important for us to reconnect with each other in that way. And the more we grow that love, 'cause that's the love energy. That's how I feel. That's the love energy. And then we grow that and we spread that around. And I just had a beautiful conversation yesterday with another lady about love and how it affects the water. That study was done. I can't remember the guy's name, I think it was a Japanese doctor that did the
Emoto,
study.
Dr.
Pardon me.
Emoto,
Yeah.
Dr. Emoto.
Yes, on the ice crystals and how love and the different emotions affects the way the ice freezes. So the more we put that out there, it affects us. It affects our planet, and it just
Yeah.
continues to ripple outward, and it's just how can you not want to get caught up in that kind of a ripple?
And you might be thinking of Veda Austin too. Veda Austin's doing like the freezing of the water. But Dr. Emoto would put on a glass, like, I hate you and I love you. And, or he put it on a plant or a bowl of rice. And the hate and the negative emotion always made the crystal look gnarly, the plant die, or the rice spoil. And like, kind of just really gross, nothing you'd want to eat. And so think about what we're doing to our bodies when we say, oh, I'm so stupid. Oh, that was a dumb thing to do. Or a partner of ours is saying, that was stupid. You're dumb. Think about what that's doing to our bodies when our body's mostly made up of water and water crystals. And so I always tell people there was a film years ago called What the Bleep.
Yes.
And I think that's where Joe Dispenza actually got his, that's where he got his start. And, the girl, she starts drawing hearts on her body. And then you see that her energy changes. And so I did that for a while. I'm like, I'm going to draw little hearts on my body. I'm going to say, I love myself. I'm going to look myself in the mirror and say, I love you. And I did feel healthier. I did feel more vibrant because I don't think that disease lives in the high vibration of love and gratitude and hope and joy. As we know from David Hawkins' work, Power versus Force, The Eye of the Eye, a couple of his books, he talks about the vibration of, hate and fear. It's so low. But then you go into the Christ consciousness, which at the time that he wrote the book was 1,000. I think we're at like 1,200 now, where, you stay at those vibrations. And so cancer might be at 200. So if you're at 1,000 or 500 or 800, I mean, cancer doesn't notice you. It's like just goes right by. Same with herpes. People would say, well, you don't want to do this, but one of my one of my friends, she's like, oh, you're dating this guy, and he, revealed that he had um, a herpetic, virus in his genitals. That's why I say genital herpes. And she's like, oh, you don't have to worry. You won't get it. You stay at such a high vibration. I'm like, I'm not taking those chances, but probably I won't get it. But I'm like, I'm not taking that chance. It's like, so it's funny how people are like, oh, yeah, you're going to be fine. You stay at such a high vibration. No, I'm like, I'm not taking those kind of chances. But, we have these different diseases that it's just like a different radio station. You could be on, country music station and someone is on, classic rock, and you just miss each other
Yeah.
because you're not on the same frequency.
Yeah. And I believe discernment, I mean, keeping your vibration high is great. It really, really is. But we can use our discernment too, which has been another big word for me over the last several weeks too. So,
Well, and I tell people, we're going to come into this new energy medicine um, future. I think the future is now of energy medicine
yeah,
and frequency medicine, and the future of hospitals and the future of medicine is just so different right now. But we have to be discerning because a lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to go get a massage and chiropractic adjustment. I'm going to get Reiki and acupuncture all in the same day. Well, that'd be anything. That'd flip me upside down because it's too much energy um, at one time.
right,
So that'd be like you would eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner all at 9 o'clock in the morning. No, you wouldn't do that. You let one digest, then you eat another one, then you eat another meal after that digest. It's the same with energy work. I just want people to be discerning. And I want people to also say, okay, if I walked into the room and I got a sick feeling in my stomach, maybe that's not the right energy for your body.
right.
So listen to that. And a lot of people don't because they're very polite, and I'm guilty. I've put myself through energy treatments, if you will, that I knew I was not going to do well. And I had insomnia for 2 weeks, or I ended up getting really, really sick because I picked up an energy that wasn't right for my body.
Yeah,
No, it doesn't mean that it would be right for someone else, but it wasn't right for me. And I knew it, and I did it because I was polite, but then I didn't honor myself. I
right.
screwed myself. Like my sister says, you screw your future self when you do things like that,
Yeah,
because I was sick for 2 weeks. And so as we come into this new energy, we want to be discerning and we want to say, you know what, that's not for me, or that is for me, and find the right combination that works so that you can um, find that place of peace and joy and love and healing for yourself.
yeah. Yes, well said. Absolutely. Listening to our body. Our bodies tell us everything if we pay attention. They really do. Yeah,
Everything. And people say, like when I did my documentary called It's Time, it was funny because I interviewed Stephen Ross from the World Research Foundation. He's been on Gaia, 6, 10 times, whatever. He's really pretty popular. And his wife Deborah was there, and she's like, you know what, Gail? And she was just random talking. We were all getting ready to set up, and we were getting ready to start filming in Sedona. You know what, Gail? If you don't listen to the whispers, you're gonna get the nudges. If you don't listen to the nudges, you're gonna get the hammer. And I'm like, get her in makeup. She's going in the film. And she's like, wait, what? Like you're going in the film because you need to at least say that. And it flows so well because we also showed me getting Reiki session, hands-on healing from her, and she was able to say that statement, and it is one of the most brilliant statements that's brought up from people is like, oh yeah, if you don't listen to the whispers, you get the nudge. If you don't listen to the nudge, you get the hammer. And the hammer is usually cancer because your body's been telling you in the energetic field, and before it gets to the physical, it's already gone through the emotional body, the mental body, the spiritual body, and then bam, it's in the physical body because you weren't listening.
Right. Yes. I say that a lot. I use the term smackdown though instead of hammer
Yeah, yeah.
because it's
Get the
so
smack.
true. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so stubborn. I dig my heels in like nobody's business. Not quite as hard as I used to. Definitely not as hard as I used to. But, and also I have like this really curious nature. So I'll push the boundaries of it sometimes, like, oh, even though I had that nudge, I wonder what'll happen if I just keep going a little longer. I wonder what'll happen. And I just had this big lesson in that recently. And I was like, maybe I don't push it so hard next time, because the outcome, I already know what the outcome is going to be. Like I already know. So why would I push it to have that experience just to get to the same outcome? That's just,
I know. I don't know why we have to learn things the hard way, but I do the same thing. I'll go 12, 15, 16 hours a day. And then I know that I'm going to get that optical migraine. I'm going to lose my vision. And there's nothing I can do but lay on the couch. And I was like, okay, Gail, why do you have to keep pushing to get to that when you know that's going to happen? You just need to calm your shit down and stop when you know you need to stop. But if I don't stop, my body is like, smack down, like you say.
yes. Yeah. And I talked to somebody one time who said that there was a woman that I can't remember if she knew her. I'm thinking that she knew her. I don't think it was like somebody in her family. I think it was just an associate or whatever. But this woman was very independent, never wanted to rely on anyone else to do anything for her, never reached out to ask for help for anything, was a very, type A personality where she was just go, go, go all the time. And then she had a stroke and she required care. Like it wasn't her choice anymore at that point to ask for help. She required the help. And she said that if she had not had that experience in this life, and this is the way she explained it to me, these are her words, that it would have taken her 9 more lifetimes to learn the lesson of you need to ask for help sometimes. Sometimes you just need to stop, realize that you can't or shouldn't go any further with whatever it is in that moment, and just allow yourself to rest, receive the help. And, I have another philosophy on receiving help, and that is, I know how I feel when I get to help somebody. Like, I love being able to give someone that help. It blesses me and it gives me joy to see their gratitude and reaction to receiving the help. So, if we never ask for help or allow ourselves to receive it, we're actually, in my belief, cheating someone out of that experience also, because it's beneficial to us to be the helper, and being the helpee is, it doesn't mean we're weak. And I think that's a big thing. A lot of us think that if we ask for help, it means we're weak or deficient in some way, and it doesn't.
I think that is probably the most profound thing that people could take away from this podcast. And I'm guilty of that too. I can do it all myself. I got this. I was very masculine energy like you were for a long time, and I had to soften and I had to ask for help, and it's still hard. But you do take away people's joy and you take away that balance. So you don't have balance, and then you're taking away their balance. I was at a gas station recently and I just ran in to get something, and I don't remember, it was like $1.20. I can't remember, $1.23. And I gave him $1.20. And then he said, I got you on the other 3 cents. But then I gave him another nickel and I let him keep the 2 cents. And he was a young kid. And he was like, okay, I tried to do something nice for you and then you overpaid now. And I was like, oh, I said, I have a problem with receiving. He goes, well, maybe you should work on that.
Yeah.
And I was
Wow.
like, you're so right. But we have teachers everywhere. You
Yes, we
never
do.
know who's going to be your teacher.
Yeah.
And I have teachers all the time, every day I learn from somebody. I'm learning from you today. And he was my teacher that day. And I was like, oh, guilty.
Yeah. It's amazing how and where those messages come from. It's really interesting to me how they just show up in the most unlikely places. Like, what did you expect to learn walking into a store and paying for an item? Like, you weren't thinking, oh, I'm about to have this profound lesson. you know, it's so interesting how they just pop up and show us sometimes just this little area that we need a tweak, like you said earlier, you know.
Absolutely. I love it. And I learn every day from people, and you just don't know who you're going to learn from. What my dad, even though he had a seventh grade education, he probably taught me the most in my entire life. He had common sense. He had street smarts. He was just a beautiful soul. People saw him as weak. You mentioned, sometimes people see people as weak. Because if somebody were to smack him in one cheek, he'd turn the other cheek and he would let him, and he would walk away and say, "Have a nice day."
Yeah,
And people saw him as, sissy or weak, but he wasn't at all. He just had a big heart, and he was probably an old soul.
yeah, yeah. I agree with you. And I think in my belief, it takes profound strength not to react to somebody in that lower vibrational level that they reacted to you, which is what violence is a low vibration. That's definitely not a high vibration. So when you can react to someone in an elevated vibration, that is strength. To me, that is not weakness for sure. So your dad was very strong. And you've referenced his education a couple different times now, and I would like to say that I am like, I think it's amazing when people put in the time and energy and the money to getting credentialed in some kind of way. However, I think that we really cheat ourselves by looking at people who don't have that or may have, a an elementary or junior high education, and because they're very, very intelligent and have a lot to offer too. It's not the credentials that make you who you are. It's you who makes you who you are. And it's you who makes you good at what you do with your time and energy and effort that you put into that. And, I myself am a high school dropout. I have a GED education, and I went on to get an LPN and worked in nursing for a while. And, I worked with this person one day who was really on high school dropouts and just kept on and on and on about it. And like, it was very derogatory, the things that she was saying. And I just let her go on for a few minutes because I found it fascinating what she was saying. And then I couldn't do it any longer. And I looked at her and I'm like, do you know that I'm a high school dropout? She goes, you are not. I go, oh, but I am though. I am a high school dropout.
In your mouth.
And it's like, what do you do with it? Do you choose to believe that you aren't able to do anything, that you're not intelligent then because you did drop out of high school? What do you do with that information? And I think that tells a profound story about someone's character, is what do you do with it? You know, some of the most intelligent, accomplished people on our planet don't have higher education. I mean, truthfully.
My dad said his brother, let's see, he went to seventh grade, his brother went to eighth grade, his other brother went to ninth grade. His other two brothers, one was homeless, my uncle was homeless my whole entire life. I don't even know if he's still alive. We've tried to look for him to tell him that my dad passed away. We could never find him. And then his other brother died. He's like, I'm sure glad I got out of there when I did, because they were more stupid. It's like, Dad. So yeah, he had the theory of the more schooling that you had, the less common sense. It educated the common sense out of you. And I was the first person in my family to really go to college, and I spent 14 years going to college, and I was looking for an education. And I then realized it's a game. You get the piece of paper and you get out. So that's what I did. But basically, it was an online program. I went to the University of Phoenix. They did a lot of it just online. And so I feel like I bought my degree. So I don't really put it out there. I have a PhD, but I don't put it out there because I feel like somebody's going to criticize me and say, "Oh, if you didn't go to Harvard or Princeton or, one of the, elite colleges, then they don't even recognize it." So, yeah, it's very strange how we view education and people, but I feel like I'm more self-taught than anything and very accomplished. I've accomplished a lot with, my store-bought degree.
Yeah, and I think it's great. Like I said, I think it's great when we do have the credentials. I don't have a lot of credentials behind my name, and I'm okay with that because I feel like
Yeah.
our mission on the planet is different, and it's okay. And to demean each other in any kind of way because of something like that is, to me, it's not beneficial. It's very counterproductive for us to do that when we could just simply work together and realize that we all have something to offer. And we're intelligent in different ways. We're all good at different things and we bring something different to the table. Like art, for instance, is one area that I get extremely fascinated by because I look at what some people consider art and I'm like, ooh, but that doesn't resonate with me at all. I don't find that beautiful. I don't even find it interesting, you know? And then I'll look at something else and think, oh my gosh, that person is wildly talented. They're so gifted. Like, how are people even on our planet that are capable of doing something like that? That's insane. And I'm an artist myself, and I know that some of my work resonates with some people, and some people just could pass it by and it's not interesting to them at all. And it's okay because it's all subjective, right?
I love art. I have all different kinds of art all over my house, from Bev Doolittle to um, um, MC Escher. And I mean, I just have, it's eclectic, and it's, everything has its own beauty to me. Some is structural, some of it is just on the wall. I mean, I love art. I
Yeah.
always have. Igor Medvedev was one of some pieces that I used to have, but my ex-husband took those. But yeah, just beautiful, beautiful stuff. And nature is so beautiful, and I
Oh,
love to travel and look at the mountains or the water, and I'm always fascinated by how the water ripples. I was listening to a podcast by Alan Watts. I love him. I love the philosophy of Alan Watts. And he said, trying to control your life is like trying to grab water and hold on to it. And I was like, oh my God, he's so funny. And then he said, your ego, this was a funny one too. Your ego is like you're driving in the car and you're the little kid with the toy steering wheel in the passenger seat. And this is your ego trying to control life. You're like this little toy steering wheel. Like, oh my God, the visual was so funny. So yeah, I just love just observing and observing people. I love people watching and just seeing how people interact with each other. And I mean, the level of unkindness lately is sad to me.
mm,
People bump into each other because they're on their phone walking and bumping into each other or cutting people off in traffic. And I just keep visualizing a more kind and loving world, and it's going to happen. And
yes.
more of us need to just imagine and visualize that to make it happen.
Yes. Yes, I agree with you 100%. And I feel like more and more people are waking up to that and realizing that, it really does make a difference. I like to say, when we put that love out there instead of putting the anger and the fear and the frustration, it's like taking oxygen away from a fire. It really does diffuse the situation, and we don't allow ourselves to believe the power it has, but it is super powerful. Yeah.
So powerful. If you had in a podcast, you said that you thought somebody may have been in a really bad way when you were working, you were walking down a hallway and you said, oh, you look beautiful today or something, and you felt that energy shift as if maybe they were going to hurt themselves, but then they thought, I am beautiful, or, somebody thinks I'm beautiful. So we don't know how we can affect somebody by just smiling or, just giving them a hug. It was weird. I've talked about this in a podcast, but a guy rear-ended me on the highway maybe about a month or two ago. And it was dark out and I'm by myself in the car. So of course I'm thinking, my dad taught me street smarts. And I'm thinking, did he hit me on purpose? Is he gonna carjack me? Right. So I'm waiting for him to get out of the car and he looks mortified. He gets out of the car. So I get out of the car and he was like, I am so sorry. Oh my gosh. I was on my phone. I was talking to my buddy. I wasn't paying attention. I am just I can't tell you how sorry I am. And I gave him a hug. And then I'm hugging and I'm thinking, I'm hugging this guy that just hit me. That's pretty stupid. Yeah, I should be screaming and yelling at him because now I'm late for where I'm going and yada, yada, yada. It doesn't matter. But I actually put a license plate frame on my license plate that says be kind. And so
Yeah.
hopefully it'll remind people just to be kind.
Yeah. And you never know the impact that you had on that young man. You know, it,
Right.
it
Can
was,
you
I mean, I could
imagine?
feel it. Like when you were talking about it, I could feel his distress and what you were saying. And he's thinking, oh, crap, now I've gone and done it. And then to have you react in the way you did, I mean, I can't imagine how that impacted him. I mean, I would love, I would love to know. Like, I'd love to like have him send a message and be like, "I'm the guy that hit her," and how
Right.
that impacted his life. I mean, what an amazing
I
story
didn't
to
get his
tell.
name. Yep, never got his name, never got his contact information. I told him just go because he was late for the hockey game. I said, just go. He goes, are you sure? I'm like, it's just a scratch. It's totally fine. And yeah, I would just like to be a fly on the wall when he's telling the story. Like, this is crazy. I hit this girl. She didn't get my information. She gave me a hug and she told me to leave. They're probably like, sure, dude, you had way too much to drink.
Right? Oh, that's so funny. Oh yeah, gosh, a follow-up on that would be so super fun. So hey, if you're out there, dude, our info will be in the description box. Shoot us a text or a message of some sort.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd love to know. That would be
Let us know how many people didn't believe that story when you told them.
right. And now they know you have proof. You can download this and send it to
Right.
everybody. Oh, that's so awesome. Well, we have covered some amazing topics. I'm so excited for this conversation. Is there anything you would like to add?
Well, I want to plug my egg for a moment and just say that, we're sound and light beings from God, from source, from the universe. So we should be healing with sound and light. And if you read any of Edgar Casey's work where he talks about bringing spiritual forces of sound and spiritual forces of light together, it would be a great modality for the future. And I feel like some of the consciousness that I brought through with the egg is Royal Rife, Wilhelm Reich, Nikola Tesla, Albert Einstein, and Edgar Casey, amongst, just a few of the brilliant people of our past who probably didn't even have a degree. I'll throw that in there.
That's right.
And so, yeah, I would just say that I would want people to be discerning, listen to their body, and have more love and kindness in the world.
Yes. So just so people know what your product is, that you're talking about your harmonic egg, and how does it work? What does it do? And how is it experienced by the clients who get to have a session in there?
Great question. It is basically a large wooden egg. There's no Wi-Fi, no Bluetooth, no computer screens, no flashing lights. It's back to basics. I think that, God lives in simplicity. And so I kept it very simple. The egg shape is where life comes from. So the egg, and then sacred geometry and sound and light. But not only sound, but the right sound. We don't promote people to listen into AC/DC in there, or not that it's not good music, but the primitive cultures used music for medicine. The civilized cultures use it for entertainment. So when I hire a musician to create a piece of music for the harmonic egg, I make sure they have a high heart energy. I make sure that the intention from the time that we start talking about it to the time that it is completely mastered and ready, um, is about helping people to heal. We're working on a piece for ALS / neutralizing viral loads in the body. And so the musician and I have been working together for a couple months now and creating a piece of musical journey to process the 5 stages of grief. And
Mm.
it's a beautiful journey that you go through and process the 5 stages of grief. And I am just really impressed with this musician. He's actually a first responder. He's a police officer, but he's been doing music for so many years. So you get that energy of that as well. Because even in the egg, you're going to get my energy. Any invention that somebody puts out there, their energy's in it. So the music piece is I have to be careful that I choose somebody who I know is going to have this high heart, high vibrational energy because the intention and the energy is theirs. It's in there from them, from me, from the egg, and so you go into the egg and it's 40 minutes of music and 10 minutes of silence. So there's a musical prescription for each and every person based on your intention. And like Jonathan Goldman says, frequency plus intention equals healing. And so we have an intention that's set. We have a musical prescription for you. And so we set the colors and the music for that intention. So say you have Parkinson's. A lot of that is heavy metals and a neurotoxin that crosses through the blood-brain barrier. And so we want to work with some drumming to really jar loose some of those heavy metals. And we'll smell heavy metals sometimes on the client after the session. And you'll see the tremors go from, that to nothing or slightly less. Um, there's books out there on color therapy from the 70s that seem to be way more accurate than the books written now because I think there's so much noise in our environment. They had more peace and they had more calm where they could sit and meditate. So I use a lot of greens and yellows for Parkinson's. We do a lot of autonomic nervous system reboots because part of the problem is people are stuck in fight or flight. And when they can get out of the fight or flight, their body can heal naturally. Our bodies are magical.
Yeah.
So then we use blues and purples. Purples are for detoxing, calming. Blues, anti-inflammatory, calming, cooling colors. And so just putting somebody in there on an autonomic reboot with piano music and maybe a little light flute to help the liver, you're going to see the heart rate variability test be improved because the body's coming into balance. And then the 10 minutes of silence at the end is very magical because we don't sit in silence enough. And when we do sit in silence, some of our most amazing downloads come through, or visions or ideas, however you look at, when you get an idea. It's usually when you're on autopilot driving. That's scary, but it's true. Or in the shower, because you're doing something that you've done, for 30, 40, 50 years. And, or you're just waking up in the morning because you haven't gotten all that noise in your brain yet. And you have these brilliant ideas in that hypnagogic state where you can experience the silence. So we built in 10 minutes of silence at the end. And if you're claustrophobic, no problem. There's a doorbell in there. You can push the doors open on your own. But you're reclined in a recliner chair inside for 50 minutes total. And you're surrounded by wood and a lot of love. And I think it's just a beautiful experience.
It sounds amazing. It sounds absolutely amazing. So, if someone would like to have a harmonic egg experience, how do they find one?
Really easy, harmonicegg.com. And we list all of our locations on the website.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that so much. I would love to have one. Listen, I have this big dream. We'll talk about that later. So that's yeah, I just throwing that intention out there right now since we're in the energy of each other right now. So it'll be amazing. So Gail, thank you once again for joining me on this podcast episode today. I'm so excited. I think the information and the energy in this conversation has been absolutely incredible. And I know that the right people are going to hear it and it's going to touch them in an amazingly profound way. So thank you so much again. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you too. And it's been fun. It's been a really fun conversation. It's been a happy moment for me.
Yeah, you're very welcome. And thank you everyone for joining me and Gail Lynn on another episode of Spiritually Speaking. I appreciate each and every one of you. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Everyone needs to hear this information. It's time for this information to get out there. And if you happen to be a person that can help with that environmental issue Gail mentioned, then please get in contact with her because, we're all in this together and what affects us one of us affects all of us. So thank you. And I will see you on the next one. I love you all.